Playful Pat and the Curious Cat Adventure. Pat was known to be quite playful. When his big eyes sparkled and his little freckles twitched, you never knew what Pat would be up to next. Pat loved his cat and his cat loved Pat. Delta was more than just a cat, she was Pat's best friend. She would sit on his lap, curl up for a nap, or gently touch Pat's nose. Can you imagine a cat touching your nose? Pat made sure Delta always had plenty of food and water. Well, almost always. One night, Pat forgot to fill Delta's water bowl. Tired from a day of play, he snuggled into bed, pulling his blanket up just right. Everything was quiet until, crash! Delta had jumped onto his bed, knocking everything over. Startled awake, Pat looked at her wide, sad eyes. "Oh no, Delta! I forgot your water!" Pat rushed to fill her bowl. From that moment on, Pat never let Delta's water run low again. He didn't want to see her angry, or hear another midnight crash. But one day, something even scarier happened. Delta got out of the house. Pat was beside himself. "Delta! Delta, where are you, my friend?" he called, his voice shaking. He searched every corner of the house, but Delta was nowhere to be found. As the sun began to set, Pat's worry grew. He ran to his mom. "We have to find her now. If we don't, a coyote, or a fox, or maybe even the owl I heard last week will get her." Pat's dad grabbed a flashlight, and together they ventured outside. They walked the path behind their house, the beam of light cutting through the dark. They peeked into every backyard in the neighborhood, calling her name. "Delta! Delta!" Pat's voice echoed in the quiet night. Then, just when hope was fading, Pat heard a soft rustling sound. There, nestled among the branches, were two glowing eyes. "Delta!" he cried. Pat dropped to his knees and carefully reached into the bush. "It's okay, Delta," he whispered, his voice calm and reassuring. Delta's little body was trembling, but as soon as she saw Pat, she let out a tiny, relieved meow and crept into his arms. He hugged her tightly, feeling her soft fur against his cheek. When they got home, Pat wrapped Delta in a warm blanket. She purred softly, finally feeling safe. From that night on, Delta never wandered off again. She stayed close to Pat, her favorite person in the world. And Pat? He made sure Delta always had water, food, and plenty of love. Because no matter how playful Pat was, nothing was more important than his best friend, Delta. The end. Hit that subscribe button, leave your comments below, and let us know where you think Pat should go next. The world is waiting, and the adventure begins now.